Dear students, welcome to this video lesson. In this lesson, let me discuss Sri Aurobindo's very famous poem, The Tiger and the Deer. First, let me introduce the author. Sri Aurobindo lived from 1872 to 1950. He is an Indian nationalist, philosopher, yogi, guru, and poet. He involved in nationalist politics and the revolutionary movement in Bengal. Later, he came to Pondicherry and got settled with his ashram. He developed a method of spiritual practice and which he called it integral yoga. Sri Aurobindo, a religious man. So once he was a freedom fighter. Later, he just resorted into his own peaceful religious life. Some of his important works are The Life Divine, Savitri, and he was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1943 and for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950 also. So probably twice he was he was the one who was nominated for two different categories. One is for literature and another one is for Peace Prize, but both the times he didn't get. Now let me give you a brief introduction about this poem, The Tiger and the Deer. It is a didactic poem. This poem travels at two levels. At the first level, it talks about a tiger and a deer. A deer is drinking water, the tiger comes and kills it. This is the superficial or surface level meaning. At the deeper level, it talks about the conflict between the colonizer and the colonized. So, in one way, we can take this poem, or this poem can be considered as a reaction against the Western people, especially the British. So, this poem was first published in 1930. Then it presents the contrast between good and evil, innocence and experience, and life and death. So, these conflicts are effectively presented. Now, if you take these two animals, deer represents the symbolic representation as innocence and softness, whereas tiger, ferocity, brutal physical power, and it has got the dark side of animal beings. Animalistic instinct is beautifully presented in this poem. On the whole, this poem is the poet's longing for a peaceful life, especially when in 1930s he was actively involved in politics, freedom fighting. So at that time he was longing for a very peaceful life that has been beautifully portrayed in this poem. If you take the themes, so we have many themes here. The duality of existence. So there will be good and bad, right? Bright and dark. So duality of existence is there, especially the contrast between the strength and vulnerability. Strength, physical power of the tiger, vulnerable. So the tiger is vulnerable because it is very fragile. Then the struggle for survival in nature. So of course, in nature there are so many animals and birds. The strongest survives. That idea has been beautifully portrayed in this poem. While portraying that, he is able to present how the colonized people suffer, how the colonizers are very brutal. At the same time, this poem ends with a positive note. Now, let's go into the line by line analysis. Brilliant, crouching, slouching, what crept through the green heart of the forest. So brilliant. So the tiger is described in the part. Brilliant, crouching, right? Slouching and crouching, almost how a tiger it just touches the ground and like a cat it comes very slowly in a secretive way. What crept through the green heart of the forest? So the poet beautifully states the green heart of the forest. So it takes place in the deeper forest. In the deep forest, a ferocious tiger, it just sits and touches the ground and walks very slowly and secretly. Gleaming eyes. The tiger animal has got gleaming, bright eyes and mighty chest, strong chest, and soft, soundless paths, soft, soundless alliteration, soft, soundless pass. Sa, ah sound is repeated. So here it has assonance also. So the poet says the animal tiger has got gleaming eyes, brightening eyes, strong and mighty chest, and soft, soundless paws. So you might have observed how cats walk. Tiger also belongs to cat family, right? So very soft, without making any noise, it walks of grandeur and murder. So the poet asks a beautiful rhetorical question. So through the walk, so it is beautiful, grandeur, beautiful, and murder. So not only the beauty walks, but also the murder walks. The wind slipped through the leaves as if afraid lest its voice. So the wind in the forest, the wind among the fallen leaves, if we walk on that, it will be creating a rustling noise, some noise that the dead leaves will make. So the wind slipped through the leaves as if afraid lest, so it was afraid to make any noise, lest its voice and the noise of its steps perturb the pitiless splendor. Who is pitiless splendor here? The tiger. See, the tiger walks very slowly without making noise. Even the wind flows very gently without making noise, as if it is going to threaten, or as if it is afraid of the beauty that is tiger. So as if its steps disturb the pitiless splendor. So this tiger does not have any pity at all, hardly daring to breathe. So here, even the wind does not dare to breathe. Why? Because it is afraid of making noise. But the great beast, so that is tiger, crouched and crept and crept and crouched a lost time, noiseless. So one more time, it just crouches and just creeps noiselessly, fatal, deadly, till suddenly death leaped on the beautiful wild deer. So what happens? Without making any noise, the tiger just secretively it walks and it creeps, but finally death leaped. So the death is personified. Death leaped on the beautiful wild deer as it drank unsuspecting at the great pool in the forest, coolness and shadow. So here, this is the natural order. So animals come to the water body to drink. So under the shading tree, the animal, without realizing the danger, it comes. At the other level, so the deer refers to India and Indian people. So, without knowing the danger of the arrival of the British, it was just a very beautifully drinking water. But suddenly, the death, so death refers to not only the tiger but also the colonizers, the British people. Just so it leaped, so unsuspecting at the great pool in the forest, coolness and shadow. So, before the arrival of the British, India was very cool, India was enjoying its beauty, and India was enjoying its peaceful religious life. But suddenly, death came. So, who is that death? It is the British people. And it fell and torn, died, remembering its mate, left soul in the deep woodland. So now the poet describes the mindset of the deer. The deer has to die, fine. The deer dies. At the same time, what happens, while dying, it is thinking of its partner that is in the deep forest. So here, though the Indians, they died, many people died in the hands of the British. So they were conscious of the situation of their own relatives and other members of the country destroyed and mild. harmless beauty by the strong, cruel beauty in nature. So the contrast has been presented, contrast present in nature. So finally, the deer is destroyed. The mild, harmless beauty. So who is the mild, harmless beauty? That is the deer. By the strong, it is destroyed by the strong, cruel beauty. So two types of beauty. One is mild, harmless. The other one is the strong, cruel beauty. So here, the poet presents the two contrasting elements of nature, beauty and the beast. So both are animals, but one is the harmless beauty. The another one is peaceful and cruel beauty that is represented by the tiger. So here the tiger represents Indians and the deer represents Indians and the tiger represents the British. But a day may yet come when the tiger crouches and leaps no more in the dangerous heart of the forest. So suddenly the poet shifts the tone. Okay, first he presents what is prevailing at that time, maybe in 1930s. But he imagines, he visualizes there may be a day, one day will come. But a day may yet come when the tiger crouches and leaves no more. At that time, there won't be any tiger to kill us more in the dangerous heart of the forest. So here, what is the heart of the forest? Here it refers to India. As the mammoth shakes no more the plains of Asia. Mammoth here, Asia is known for big elephants. As the mammoth shakes no more the plains of Asia. Still then shall the beautiful wild deer drink from the coolness at that time. So without any disturbance, the deer will drink from the water pond, water pool, in coolness of great pools in the leaves shadow. Now the last two lines are masterpiece by Aurobindo. The mighty perish in their might, the slain survive the slayer. So it is a kind of oxymoron. So the mighty perish. See, uh, the poet presents two different personalities: tiger, the strong, and the deer, so innocent and weak. But what he says, the mighty perish in their might, since the strong and the powerful, so they are though they are enjoying power, they will perish. Perish means get destroyed. They will disappear because of their own power. So actually, if you see the history of Indian struggle and freedom, the British people were colonizing 58 countries across the world. At one point after 1900, one by one they had to hand over the freedom to others because they couldn't maintain the countries. So that's what, in one way, it means the majority, so the mighty perish. The mighty get destroyed in their might because of their power. They get destroyed. They get loose. The slain survive the slayer. Who is the slain? The British. The slayer British and the slain Indians. The slain survive the slayer. So there may be a powerful person, but in spite of all these problems, the affected person will survive. The slain survive the slayer. In spite of all these problems, we will survive. India will survive as a country. That's the idea presented by this poem. Dear students, as I presented at the beginning itself, this poem shows the sharp contrast between the mighty and the innocence, the tiger and the deer. At the other level, so it is a conflict between the colonizer and the colonized. Colonizer, the British, colonized India. But as he rightly predicted, what happened? The British had to leave. The poem was written in 1930s, and after some 17 years, they had to go. The mighty perished. That is, the slain survived the slayer. So slayer, killer. So the slain, the affected one, survived. That is proved. So the poet is a visionary. He wrote this poem with a strong vision and belief that one day will come. At that time, India will be free. All Indians will be happy. That has been beautifully established beautifully proved in this poem. Thank you. All the best. Have a nice day.